Oklahoma men's basketball starts off 0-2 in the SEC, and it's not looking good. They do it both in terrible fashion, getting blown out by Alabama, and now blowing a big-time lead to Texas A&M. Let's talk about it here on the Sooner Spotlight. Sooner fans, Sooner Nation, welcome back into another episode of Sooner Spotlight. Very excited to be back with you. Not excited to talk about the topics that we've got at hand, as the Sooners just are not looking good right now in men's basketball when it comes to SEC play. And some of us, hey, we might have looked forward to this and saying, yeah, I just don't feel it with Porter Moser and some of the decisions that he's made in the past. I'm feeling like that might be a repetitive theme here going into the future, especially into SEC play. But before we get to it, first, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you would like to give back to this podcast and help us keep on growing, and then also keep the lights on, you can become a member for just $4.99 a month. What that does is we're going to have all kinds of exclusive member-only content. We're going to give extra early access to members to all videos. And on top of that, we're even going to play games together and all kinds of stuff. We're going to have watch parties, so stay tuned for that. If you would, just become a member. All you're doing is signing up to become a member to help us stay afloat and kind of support this podcast. You can also donate down below through the YouTube as well. That's another great way to help us out. But become a member. Why not? We want to build a community with you guys. We're going to play games and watch parties, all kinds of fun stuff with our members, as well as behind-the-scenes stuff and extra stuff as well. So all kinds of giveaways to our members and things in the future. So become a member today for just $4.99. That link is down in the description below. But let's go ahead and get into it. The Sooners, they started off hot. They were the only one of the only undefeated teams left, being at 13-0, looking pretty good and seeming like this seems like a promising roster. It seemed like this could be a roster that actually sticks around and does something good. And we've known that Porter Moser has had a problem in the past. Coach Moser has had a problem with doing well in conference play. And back in the Big 12, a very good basketball conference, now going into the SEC, which seems like the dominant conference as of right now, with teams like Alabama and Auburn, even Texas A&M looking pretty good, especially without their star player last night. And going forward, you've got teams like Kentucky still in it, and teams like Tennessee who are looking really good. I mean, the SEC is very dominant. Florida, another team to mention in there as well. The SEC is no joke when it comes to college basketball ever, and especially not this year. And It looks like we're in trouble when you look at how we've performed in these last two games. First, starting off, backing up to the game against Alabama and how Oklahoma completely got dominated in that game. It's not just the fact that Oklahoma lost to a good opponent like Alabama. It's the fact that they lost by getting dominated 107-79. Let me repeat that score one more time. We let up 107 points on defense to 79, where the bigs just could not do anything against Alabama. Alabama was able to force turnovers. They were able to be more aggressive on the boards. It was just a showing that just proves to be the same thing over and over again with this Oklahoma men's basketball team under Porter Moser. You talk about rebounds, being out-rebounded 26-51 against Alabama. Now, of course, we go forward into the game last night against Texas A&M, a very worthy opponent, number 10 in the nation. It would have been great to hang that on the resume and put that on the resume that we beat a top 10 team this season, a very good top 10 team in Texas A&M. I know we beat Michigan in fun fashion, but that's not really saying a whole lot looking at where they're at compared to a team like Texas A&M. It would have been great to have had that win and a bounce-back win at that, and the Sooners started off looking like that could be the case. It looked like Oklahoma was going to run away with this thing and make themselves look very good after this win. Of course, have to start off with the good news and the good things that we saw. I thought Jeremiah Fears was pretty consistent all night long. I felt like he was doing a good job. He kind of started off slow, but he got in there for 21 minutes, was able to do a lot of things there. Shot 50% from the field, one of three from three-point land. He didn't really get a whole lot of chances. He was 4 for 5 from free throw from the charity stripe, and that one miss feels like a gut punch right there at the end of the game when you just need him to knock those two down. And yeah, I mean, that's what it came down to. It came down to that. It came down to a jump ball towards the end that went to Texas A&M that didn't feel right. That felt like a foul for sure. And that got turned over to Texas A&M. But Oklahoma got themselves out to a commanding lead. Started off very hot, leading 39-30 in the first half. And in the second half, it was just all Texas A&M. Oklahoma was consistent offensively, scoring 39 yet again, but they allowed 50 points alone in the second half against Texas A&M. And again, being out-rebounded, the bigs, Godwin just could not get any of the rebounds. It seemed like he was never in the right position. It seems like he was never really aggressive enough. And I don't know, I'd have to go back and really look at that last foul on Godwin that kind of sealed the entire thing. But I felt like all he did was step out of the way, but I also did not go back to rewatch that play specifically. So I may be totally wrong. That one felt a little cheap, but from the ref's perspective in real time, it does look like he's throwing him down. It seemed more like he just kind of let go and stepped out of the way to me. And of course, I'm a homer as well, so I totally understand that I'm biased to that. I'd have to go back and watch it too, like I said, but I felt like Sam Godwin just didn't seem like the big that he's capable of being. Only 6 points. He was able to be big in the first half. It felt like he got some blocks. It felt like he was very aggressive on defense. He had 3 blocks in the game, and I believe all 3 in the first half. And as far as rebounds, though, he sat there with only 5 rebounds. Oklahoma again was being just absolutely murdered on the boards. They were not crashing the boards. They weren't getting rebounds. They were not aggressive on the glass, and that's ultimately what I think hurt Oklahoma. You look at it again, losing by only 5 rebounds, but I mean, it just felt like they were being dominated when it mattered the most. 32-27 on rebounds overall for Texas A&M in the lead on that. One thing that Oklahoma did extremely well was overall field goal percentage, close to 55% at 54.3%, and then also from three-point land, specifically. We got to look at Goodine and the game that Bryson Goodine had last night, but 58.3% as a team from three-point land. I mean, beyond the arc, they were close to 60%. That's incredible. But again, what killed Oklahoma was not just the turnovers, but the fact that it was 18-9 in turnovers, giving up turnovers at crucial moments in the game. It was pathetic. I felt like there was so many times too where it wasn't even a moment where it felt like Texas A&M was taking the ball away. It felt like Oklahoma was just giving the ball away. There were several times where we would have Kobe Elvis driving down the lane and just lose the ball. There were several moments like that where it just didn't feel like Texas A&M was earning these takeaways. It was just giveaways. That's ultimately what it came down to. And it was really pathetic. Jeremiah Fears 4 turnovers on the night. I can't really bash him too much because he is that star player that's got the ball in his hands all the time. So 4 turnovers isn't terrible, but then you've got Kobe Elvis 3 turnovers. You also have Duke Miles 3 turnovers, Jalen Moore 3 turnovers, and most of the turnovers again were just total giveaways, giving Texas A&M the ball. Anyways, bouncing back to the good side, we have to shout out Bryson Goodine and start off with that. Bryson Goodine had a career night, an absolutely amazing night, a record-setting night with 10 three-pointers. He went 10 for 14 from three-point range. Just absolutely phenomenal showing from him. He went 9 of 11 from three-point land. He went 10 of 14 overall. Just an incredible night for him. 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. Did a very good job. He was putting the team on his shoulders. And honestly, I don't think we fed him the ball enough. As crazy as that sounds, there were several times where he should have been given the ball. Towards the end of the game, when you need to pull out back ahead, we kept on going with guys that just weren't hot last night. Not that they aren't playmakers. Like, if you take a look at Jalen Moore, he's a playmaker. He's a key guy, but he shot 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point land. He just wasn't really in a rhythm, though. He didn't get the ball enough to get himself in a rhythm the way that Bryson Goodine did. I felt like that was one thing. Of course, also Luke Norweather, really. I don't think he sees the court enough. We need more bigs in there in key moments, again, to try to get those rebounds, to try to play big on defense. I felt like Texas A&M, when they got out on those hot streaks on offense, they started by crashing in and driving through the lane and getting easy layups where you don't have a big in there to help Sam Godwin. So you've got to get other bigger players in there to help on defense, to do something on defense, because once Texas A&M started to drive in and get Oklahoma to guard the paint a little bit more, that's when you started to see the 3 points, the three-pointers just kind of go off and off all night for Texas A&M. Oklahoma, amazing from three-point land with 14 three-pointers. And again, shooting 58% from the three-point land. But Texas A&M also shooting 39% from three-point land. They were able to knock down 9 three-pointers, and a lot of those in the second half to get themselves back into this game and ultimately taking the lead with one. So it was just key moments where Oklahoma seemed to completely cave. It seemed like Oklahoma just crumbled. Starting off, in that second half, looking very dominant, got themselves out to an 18-point lead, and somehow giving that up to Texas A&M. An 18-point lead, and that crumbled to 0, and then ended up where you lost 80-78. This was just a pathetic second half from the Sooners defensively, and I think offensively when it comes to turnovers, not necessarily scoring offensively, but giving the ball away. You've got to cut down on those giveaways. If you take the giveaways away, I'm not even talking about when Texas A&M played tough defense and took the ball away. I'm saying the giveaways where Oklahoma was driving into the lane and just lost the ball, or a simple pass that turns into a bad pass going right to a defender, where it could have been a simple pass, but instead you tried going one way instead of just going to the open man. And I also felt like it just felt like a lot of pickup ball down low. There just is not enough chemistry with these guys when it comes down to crunch time like this. You see the chemistry going very strong, and then they crumble. That chemistry just completely evaporates. And it was a very pathetic showing in the second half, and specifically in that last moment of the game when you know you need a score. There's really only two guys that you put that ball, two guys' hands that you put the ball in. Of course, being Jeremiah Fears, the obvious one, the one that I think everyone would agree with. You have to go to Jeremiah Fears and let him cook. You've got to let him have the ball in that last moment. And otherwise, you go to Bryson Goodine out past the arc. That's your only two options. I don't think you can really go to anyone else. I don't think you can go to Glenn Taylor. Glenn Taylor, I absolutely love the dog in him on defense. Offensively, I don't see enough from him to give him a chance on offense. You definitely can't give it to Kobe Elvis and expect him to do anything. Duke Miles, nothing. From nobody else last night should have touched that ball. Kobe Elvis probably being the biggest one not to let touch the ball last night because it just wasn't his night. Love Kobe Elvis. I love what he's doing this season. I think he's a phenomenal player. I love having him on this team, and he can be a playmaker. It just wasn't his night last night. And you can't put the ball in his hands to expect him to do something when the game is on the line. You've got to give it to Bryson Goodine in that situation beyond the arc and let him put up a three. I don't care if you're contested. I'm okay with him shooting a three and losing the game that way. Or Jeremiah Fears, because we know that those are our two playmakers. They're going to shut down Jeremiah Fears as much as they can, double team him. But if they do double team him, guess what? You can pass it around and get it to Goodine and let him shoot a three. I just didn't think that the Sooners had it last night, and it seems like a dark path ahead. It looks very dark because you have to think of the other teams that are left on the Sooners' schedule. Going forward from here, Oklahoma, they have Georgia coming up next, who is looking very good right now, and it's at Georgia. And I don't know if you've seen clips of Georgia's arena and what they're able to do, but they put us Sooner fans even more shame to even more shame than we should be right now as it is, because LNC is just never packed. It is never packed, and that's pathetic. we've got to show up better. But we've got Georgia, and then we've got Texas, again, another good team. South Carolina, solid team. Arkansas, solid team. Texas A&M, again, at Texas A&M. And then you've got Vanderbilt. Auburn, outstanding team, one of the best in the nation right now. Tennessee, number 1 right now, one of the best in the nation right now. The list goes on. All of these SEC teams are going to be dominant. They are going to make it very difficult for Oklahoma going forward. And the way that we look right now, we have got to get chemistry going. We can't be having this total, a playground ball on offense. We've got to be consistent. We've got to be stronger down low and use our bigs. This doesn't feel like we've got enough to stand against the SEC right now, and it feels like a dark path ahead. Like I mentioned, this is a very tough schedule for a team that does not seem ready at this moment. Hey Sooner fans, did you enjoy this video? Well, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What are you doing if you've made it this far and haven't already? You should be able to find that subscribe button over here. And then if you want to see full episodes, we've got those up here and clips right down here. So go check that out. But we thank you all so much for all the love, all the support. We'll catch you next time. Boomer.